24 hours alone in the Sahara. No signal, no shelter, one bottle of water, and when the rescue truck arrived, Jack almost didn't want to leave. The sun was already rising when Jack stepped out of the transport truck and into the Sahara. No city noise, no wind through trees, only sand. Endless sand glowing gold under a sky so wide it felt unreal. He checked his watch. 06, 24 hours. Alone. The truck disappeared behind a dune and the engine faded until the silence pressed against his ears. Jack adjusted his backpack with one canteen, a small tent, a flare, and a GPS unit showing empty coordinates. No roads, no signal, just numbers. He started walking, as dunes that looked close took an hour to reach, and shadows stretched across the sand. Step, breath, step. The heat still gentle, but the light already sharp, every grain defined. He turned once to look for the truck and saw nothing but wind-smoothed emptiness. By 09, the temperature rose fast and the air became dry and metallic. He wrapped a scarf around his neck and rationed water to one sip every 30 minutes. He found a ridge of darker rock and sat in its thin shadow and noticed the silence had layers, a faint whisper of moving sand, the ticking of cooling metal from his gear, his own heartbeat louder than before. For the first time, he felt physically small. At 12 noon, the sun turned into pressure and the horizon shimmered with mirage lakes appearing and vanishing. He set up the small tent not to sleep, but to hide, the inside hot but blocking the direct radiation. He lay still, conserving energy as time slowed and minutes grew heavy. He thought of cities, traffic lights, voices, and electricity, all the invisible systems of normal life. Out here, there was no system, only survival. At 1500, when the heat dropped slightly, he stepped outside and saw a line of shapes on the horizon moving slowly, too tall for dunes and too narrow for rocks. Through binoculars, he saw camels, a small caravan crossing the desert with calm certainty. He raised his hand, though they were far away, and within minutes they dissolved into heat haze, but the desert no longer felt empty. At 1800, the temperature fell, and the sand changed from gold to copper to deep red. He climbed the tallest dune, each step sinking and sliding back. At the top, the Sahara stretched in all directions with no borders and no landmarks. He checked his watch. 12 hours. Halfway. He laughed once as the scale made time feel meaningless. At 2000, the cold dropped suddenly, and he put on every layer and built a small windbreak. Above him, the sky filled with millions of stars, and the Milky Way became a bright river. He turned off his headlamp, and the darkness was complete. He understood true night as the presence of the universe. At 2300, sleep came in fragments, and every small noise felt amplified. He woke once, convinced someone was nearby, but there was nothing except his own breathing. Isolation became psychological. No messages, no notifications, no confirmation anyone knew his position. He existed only for himself. At 200, the cold peaked and his hands went numb as he watched the horizon. One mistake, one lost canteen, one wrong direction, and the desert would not notice. Fear arrived quietly, and then faded as he looked up and saw the stars had shifted and Orion moved closer to the horizon. Time was passing, and the world was still turning. He was moving through the place, not trapped in it. At 500, a faint blue line appeared in the east and the wind stopped. He climbed the dune again with stiff muscles, and when the sun broke the horizon, it felt like rescue. Light revealed delicate patterns in the sand, formed overnight. He checked his watch. 24 hours. The distant sound of an engine reached him, and the truck appeared as a small moving dot growing larger. He turned once more to the dunes, and understood that the desert had stripped away noise and illusion, and left only water, warmth, direction, and time. It had not tried to kill him, it had ignored him, and in that indifference, he found clarity. When the truck stopped and the driver asked if he made it, Jack looked back at the endless sand and said yes, meaning not survival, but understanding.